All right. What up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're all having a very, very, very blessed and beautiful night thus far. In tonight's live stream, I want to talk about energetic alignment and what that means in different ways you can align yourself for particular outcomes. One of the things that I had a deep conversation about earlier is understanding, energy dynamics, right? Understanding, how you relate to other people, how other people relate to you, how open you are energetically for certain outcomes, for certain ideas, certain belief structures, how you affect the energy within your home, within your family, within, everything within your reality. And I don't think this is something that is really talked about enough, not on this level anyway, especially when it comes to, relationships, whether it's with yourself, with your partner, with your kids, with, whatever it is. When I say relationships, it's usually a generalized thing because your relationship to anything and everything and everyone matters. And, it can have a huge influence on your karma, on the outcomes, on, the quality of life. What I would say, hey, Tyra Truth, how you doing? The man, the myth, the legend. It's really interesting because, so I've been teaching this type of knowledge, right, for years now. I don't know, was it 2026? So I don't know, 5 years now. I said, love your energy. Thanks for being here. Oh, thank you. Shout out Alchemy. So one of the things about hermetics, right, and understanding your path and understanding the situations that we go through is that there's different levels of it. And this is one of the deepest things to really, contemplate and look at because we receive information. Right? We have an experience related to that information, and this is universal as I say this too, right? So when I say receive information, that could be in the sense of, you watch a lecture or you watch a YouTube video from your favorite guru or whatever, and you're receiving information. Now you have a relationship and a belief about that information that you received, and that information is going to metabolize through your experience, right? For you to relate to that thing, right? But also, we receive information from other people, right? Somebody can send you hate, right? And you receive that information. You have a relationship to that hate that is being projected upon you. And that relationship is going to dictate how your thoughts and feelings and karma manifest in relation to that thing. So when I say we receive and how we relate to what we receive, this is a universal thing in every way that you could possibly conceive. And hey, I guess how you doing? And, looking at this thing. So when it comes to any type of development, any type of skill that you're developing and gaining higher levels of awareness, and when you receive that information to begin with, once again, you have a certain relationship to it. You have a perception of it. And the more that you begin to understand that knowledge, that information that you're receiving, it begins to take on a different form. Right? As you begin to grow and evolve, you begin to change your relationship to what you received on all these different levels. Now, when it comes to spiritual knowledge, it's far deeper than most of other knowledge and other information that we begin to bring into our field, because most spiritual knowledge and information you have to experience firsthand to fully get. And there's so many different layers of it. It's so many different layers of it. And I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse or anything, but I just remember from, beginning of my journey, and, I had my own, limiting belief structures, and I would come across this really profound, deep, experience that will change my complete perception of, all of reality and really deep level. I'm like, oh, wow, this is something really, really great. And, I'll kind of stick to it because it was, so vastly different than what I had preconceived in my experience. Now, even with that, at the beginning of my journey, that was still a very, very limited view of the information that I had received, the concepts and the ideas that I had received. And it's very easy to be stuck to these experiences that we have when we receive these different perspectives, different insights, different epiphanies and aha moments, because there's a lot of those along the path. So it's important to be able to let go of them, to be able to recognize it, use it when it resonates, and then be able to recognize when what you received is no longer serving you, so you can release it and let it go. And this is, once again, a universal thing. Hey, Miranda, how you doing? This is first time in. That's what's up. Shout out to everybody else that's in here, too. If this is also your first time, rocking with me, feel free. Let me know. Drop it in the comments. If you don't know who I am, my name is RJ. I teach Hermetic alchemy, Hermetic magic, self-mastery practices, Qigong, how to work with your energy, how to master your energy, how to alchemize, your mental, astral, physical body, how to train your psychic abilities, and how to train your intuition. So you become your own teacher. You begin to master your karma and your experience. And to me, what up, Jake? How you doing? Hey, Christina. And to me, this is the greatest knowledge you could possibly know, you could possibly learn, the greatest thing that you could possibly receive. And thank you for the gifts. So that's amazing. I'm hooked. Well, welcome. And to elaborate on it, right? So what I just shared, right? I love talking in the terms of energy, because everything is energy. And the more you can understand the nature of energy, the more you can apply the principles of energy on everything that you experience, because guess what? Dun, 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 dun. Everything is energy, right? So the physics in relation to energy also apply to your everyday life, the mundane stuff, the magical stuff, the spiritual stuff, all the different things, because it's all one. There's no separation, right? And this is why when it comes to, our path and looking at our path, I think that it's much more beneficial for people to have a really deep grasp on physics and quantum physics. Oh, thank you for the for the gifts. Quantum physics, metaphysics, and to apply that more than religious knowledge or even spiritual knowledge, because there's a much cleaner relationship between your spiritual relationship to all of reality, including God, right? Then, cultural, dogmatic, religious, spiritual stuff that is really sticky. But when it comes to physics, when it comes to quantum physics, when it comes to like the nature of true metaphysics, not just metaphysical things, but true metaphysics, you begin to have a much deeper level of understanding of how reality functions. So same principles apply to you in every way that you could possibly conceive. And yes, it's very, very sticky. And the reason why I share this like this and teach this like this is because, every organization, every organization, every religious organization, every spiritual path, every magical tradition, every lodge, every organization has an astral thing in order to make it survive. It has something really sticky that allows it to, continue on throughout time. Once again, you can look at all the major religions. You can look at Freemasonry. You can look at, all these different traditions, and not saying that all of them are like horrible or you need to get away from it or anything like that. They exist. But to grow spiritually, to raise through those different relationships to energy, to your experience, and to raise into higher realms and realities and higher levels of truth, you have to let go of that same stickiness that makes these organizations exist. And it's a literal thing. The main mechanism when it comes to religions and spiritual paths and why people are drawn to them is because they all have some type of mechanism of release. When it comes to spiritual growth, right? In order for you to transcend whatever traumas, whatever hardships, whatever suffering you may be going through, the only way that you can do that is not by what you gain, it's what you release. And that's how your spirit becomes free of it and begins to raise up into those higher levels. We're all in every single level of reality. but our awareness is trapped into whatever we are stuck to, whatever ideology, whatever traumas, whatever, feelings, emotions, whatever labels, whatever is going on in society that they're telling us to put all of our energy into. And this energy, the sticky astral energy, literally binds your spirit, your light of your mind into those lower realms. The more that you ground your emotions in it. And that is evil. Literally. That is the definition of evil. Thank you. So not many people share it like this, or really even conceptualize it like this, or even understand that aspect of it. So what's your story? we'll get into that. If you really want to know, we'll get into that. Because, I often share, for those of you that are new here, you can scroll through my page and see, how I've been alchemizing my experience. I'm a completely different person from, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago when I started on TikTok. It's very, very clear, from my own light, which shines and emanates from, from my spirit to just life in general. And my path of service is you share that light so everybody can recognize, the light within them, outside of all of those sticky attachments and stuff that you see everywhere. And I mean everywhere. I mean from gurus, from, cults, to your favorite influencers, to religions, to all these places that say, stick to this concept, stick to me, when in reality, you don't need that. In reality, in order for you to achieve the highest high, all you have to do is release the stuff that you're stuck to. And I mean that because our reality is so vast and infinite and infinitely perfect. But you are the conduit that gives life. The essence of your spirit is God. And your awareness is what gives life to anything outside of the physical. Everything that wants to manifest throughout time and space can only manifest through you. Every thought, every idea, there's nothing new under the sun, and all of it wants to express itself through you. But in order to touch the light of the creator, right, or monad, the singular light, before you get into the consciousness of the creator, you have to release everything that's keeping you from that. And once again, what is that? Well, once again, it's your thoughts, it's your feelings, it's your labeling system, it's the things you're heavily emotionally invested into. And there's things that are good and bad that we're stuck to. These are our teachers. These are the things in which we're meant to align ourselves to so we can see the polarity. And this is our vehicle to grow and to develop our spirit. This is our purpose. This is everybody's purpose. Now, everybody's purpose is different, but this is the framework of what it means to be human. And to have this gift and blessing of a physical body for us to grow and evolve. So, our traumas are good for us. Literally. The darkness of the world is good for us. Not to dwell in it and to completely ground ourselves in it and to purely express it. No. But everything that we experience, positive and negative, it's all one. It's all one. And we learn more from our negative aspects, about who we are, about what our boundaries are, right? This is the vehicle for us to grow and evolve. But it's all one. And the way that you relate to it is important. It's very, very important. And oh, thank you. Got the crystals going on with the scepter. That's bomb. That's so cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. Looking at some of these comments. Shout out to everybody that's following me too. For everybody that's new here, feel free, drop it in the comments. Let me know where you're from. I'm from Northern Indiana. I currently live outside of LA. For this whole next year, I'm traveling the world. Last year, I spent most of my year in Sri Lanka and shooting, documentary, traveling through the country, learning about the history, going through ancient sites that most people have never seen, and that's written in ancient, Hindu text and everything, and it's really, really beautiful. You can check out, there's a trailer for what we shot on there, still getting worked on. Next week, we're beginning our next journey in Mexico. And we're going to be going through some of the Mayan pyramids and temples, some of the most powerful, amazing, beautiful places in Mexico. We're also going to some of the UFO hotspots, like the #2 place in the world for alien activity, right? So we're going to be filming that as well. We're also going to Teotihuacan outside of Mexico City, which is the second largest pyramid in the world. And this is so ancient and so old that even the Aztecs, they name it Teotihuacan, but they had no clue who built it whatsoever. They came across it like, what the hell is that? It's just been here. and it's really, really beautiful, So that sounds amazing. I want to come. There's one spot left. That's why only one more spot open for Mexico, and it's really, really beautiful. It says UK here, love your content. Thank you. Shout out UK. Shout out Cali. I'm sorry I missed y'all comments with everybody saying where they're from. I'm gonna look at this too. It said Germany in the house. What up, Erdem? P in Oakland. Shout out. Miranda's in the Seattle area. I still haven't been to Seattle. My brother and my nephew live there. Never been there. LA, shout out. I'm right outside of LA. Funny thing is, the first time I ever came to California, I despised it. I thought this place was the worst place in the whole world. Me, my buddy Rome, my buddy Justin, I had my puppy with me, I had Vidal with me, and we just hit the road. And originally it was just gonna be me and my dog, and I had my drone and camera equipment and stuff. And I just remember that I was on my way out. I was in South Bend, and I stopped. It was a gaming bar there, and I stopped and got a little beer. And two of my friends happened to be there, and they're looking at me like, "Oh, you're about to go on your road trip?" Because I didn't have a plan. No GPS, no nothing. I just had a bunch of money, a bunch of time. And I just got in my car like, hey, you guys want to come? I'm about to, just hit the road. I'll probably be gone for a month or so or whatever, just explore. And as I'm on my way out, they're like, oh, sure, let me go get my stuff. And we did this road trip and went to like 15 cities. And one of the last cities we went to was LA. And out of the 14 cities I visited before LA, I got to LA and was like, I'm never coming to this little raggedy ass town again. And this was during COVID. But once again, the stickiness, right? Because I had such an aversion to LA, now I live outside LA. I've been here for 3 years and I love it. Right? So that polarity, right? It's something within our spirit that draws us to the things that we view as negative. Right, that we have some type of really strong attachment or feeling to, but usually is for our benefit. It's always for our benefit. None of it is negative in a sense. We may relate to it as being negative, but it's not truly negative. All of our negatives, all our traumas, all of our, once again, seemingly bad stuff is what teaches us. It's what allows us to grow. It's what allows us to see different polarities within ourselves, within our environments, within the people that surround us. And, this is a good thing. It's powerful, right? And one of the things about being here and recognizing that attachment that ultimately brought me here is that when I started to equalize with the energy of this area, let me tell you right now, I've been to all types of places. I think I haven't been to all the states, but I've been to at least about 30 something states. And California is one of the most beautiful ones. It may not be the most beautiful one. Actually, with all the different diversity, it might just be, and living outside of California, you would never know. There's mountains. It's one of the only places that you can go to the beach. You can go to the mountains and go skiing. right? And then you can go to the the lowest, place on earth in the same day. In literally the same day. You can go swimming, skiing, and go into the you go to the mountains, and then literally the lowest aspect, in earth, all in the same day. And it's beautiful. It's super powerful, But this is why I like to, share these adventures and, talk about places of power, because they're all around us, going to really powerful places that have really strong energies, right? Just being in those energies and seeing the polarity from your normal everyday environment, it changes you. Because it's such a vast difference from what you're used to. The frequency of your mind goes from here to you go into a space that's really powerful, right? Then it's here. It don't even have to be powerful. You just step outside of your neighborhood and go to a city that's just a little different than where you're from. Say you grew up in the city and go to a small town. It's going to change you. Your perceptions, right? Your mind, the way that you relate to certain things is going to change. So imagine going to a place that's an energy vortex. Imagine going to a place that, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have prayed in and done ceremonies on for thousands of years, right? And built pyramids and literal magical places, and how much energy and how much of a change that it can induce in your experience just from being there. So this is one of the reasons I share what I share and talk about what I talk about, and host these retreats and workshops in some of these places of power, because the type of growth that you get is something that you cannot get just like at a retreat center, or just like listening to audiobooks and online courses or anything like that. Like, those things have their place, but going into true powerful places and tapping into the energy, going to the ley lines and stuff is really, really powerful. Super duper powerful. Going to some of these comments, and I'm like 40 comments behind. So I'm going to go up and then go down a little bit, and we're going to talk about this. Cause I see some people asking some really interesting questions. What up, top shelf dopamine seller? Once again, shout out everybody that's in here. If this is your first time, make sure you hit the follow button too, because we're going to go super deep into a lot of different concepts and ideas. And if you know anybody that may benefit from this information, from some practices, meditations, anybody that's been seeking to master their energy, to learn how to work with their energy and alchemize their life and raise their quality of life, share it with them. It could be your mama, cousin, baby daddy, whoever, share it with them. Once again, my name is RJ. I teach Hermetic science, alchemy, Hermetic magic, psychic development, how to train your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, astral projection, remote viewing, mental transference, all the cool stuff, basically how to train your spirit, how to understand your intuition and to master your intuition so you can, raise your quality of life and enter into much higher realities, and to understand it to a science through firsthand experience. So you become your own master. You gain a really good grasp and understanding of the energies that influence your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and where you're at in the spiritual hierarchy. And this is the knowledge that you can take with you through every lifetime. And I'm really grateful to be able to share it. I'm grateful that you guys are here rocking with me too. So, if this interests you, let me know in the comments. If y'all have any questions, drop them in the comments for sure. I'm going to get to some of these questions because I was like 40 comments back, 40 messages back. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And hit the follow button. So back to the comments. It says Blinking Lyle. Says Great Lakes. Oh yeah, Jennifer Bliss. I'm from Indiana. I'm from South Bend, Indiana, and we're right on the border of Michigan and Illinois. And Lake Michigan is right there. Talk about places of power. One of my favorite places is Lake Michigan. Super duper powerful. Going to places, water element. Matter of fact, I had 2 different people today that I talked to who spoke about the water element and using the water element to purify themselves. And, one of the most powerful places when it comes to water element that I've ever been is Lake Michigan, more than all the oceans I've seen and swam in and connected with. Lake Michigan is essentially, it's a freshwater ocean. You go there, it's going from horizon horizon to horizon as far as you can see, like an ocean, but it's all freshwater. There's nothing in there that's going to kill you. and it's super duper powerful. Now, one of the things about going to Lake Michigan and the power that it holds is that type of energy, in the Hermetic view, we'll say that you can connect to the Lady of the Lake or the Spirit of the Lake. That type of energy will balance out your water element in relation to emotional intelligence. And it's a really particular thing. Like when you go to certain places, there's certain energies that literally affect you in a really, really particular way. And it's funny because this travel adventure spirit is a fire element thing, right? So we all get our spiritual growth in many different ways. If you are primarily fire element, you're going to find yourself wanting to adventure. You're going to find yourself wanting to go into the woods and unknown territory, to travel, to skydive, to do extreme stuff, right? Because that's where you're going to get a lot of your spiritual development. It may not be sitting down in a meditation group. It may not be, doing some of the traditional things that people do to grow spiritually. It will literally be, I want to travel the world. I want to go to these places of power because they're going to teach you. Literally, the energy there, the consciousness there, the spirits there, it teaches you through polarity. And connecting to places like Lake Michigan and having the proper tools and understanding of what's happening and how to relate to it properly, you can get lifetimes of change and benefit. One of the first lessons I got from the Spirit of Lake Michigan, going there and connecting, because I live like maybe an hour away from my favorite place in Lake Michigan. And I'm not even going to tell y'all where it is because I want to keep it low key. I used to drive there almost every morning and swim at the sunrise and do my practices. And, the first thing that, the Spirit of Lake Michigan taught me was to be aware, not even to be aware. She showed me how, once again, this polarity of good and bad, right? Everything that is bad about you, seemingly, right? It came from a good space. All our negatives, all our traumas, all our learned behaviors and stuff, in some sense, it was there to protect us, right? As a positive, all of it. We used it to protect ourselves and we held on to it for so long where it became a negative. And now that energy wants to express itself in its negative form because we're unaware. So the way that this was shown to me was, growing up, neither one of my parents raised me. Nobody raised me, essentially. I literally raised myself. From the time I was 2, I lived with my mom, lived with my dad till I was like 4, but he had a bunch of crazy stuff going on. So my grandmother came and got my sister and I lived with her till from the time I was 5 to like 16 when I moved out. And always been super smart, always, been super wise and understood, this game of life per se. And nobody really raised me. But in order for me to survive, with nobody really trying to like show me the way or acknowledge my accomplishments or anything, in order for me to be the person who I am, I had to have really thick walls up. Because I don't need you to acknowledge me. I don't need you to say, oh, I love you. I don't need you to say good job or pat me on the back. I'm cool. I got it. No, I'm just used to it. Cool. I got me. I'm going to take care of me. And as a child, it served me very, very well. It helped me get through a lot of stuff. Running the streets, gang banging, shady stuff going on or whatever, fights, shootings, like all types of stuff, and it helped me survive even through academics and everything else. It really, really helped me having, these really thick walls up and not really allowing people in, but as an adult, I still had it and I was completely unaware of it. So this one thing that helped me survive when it was needed, right? I held on to it for so long to the point in which I was completely unaware that it was a part of who I am. It's part of my field of consciousness, my subconscious habits. And it affected the way that I related to myself, to my loved ones, to my wife, to my kids, to my business partners, right? To my family. And I was completely unaware of it. Right. And the Spirit of Lake Michigan showed me this like very, very clearly. I could see every relationship I had had. And like I said, platonic, business, like every relationship in every way that you could possibly conceive, I could see it. And I was still at Lake Michigan. I was sitting in my car, was talking to my partner at the time, and like, boom, like a brick truck, just as revelation. I could see it very, very clearly. Very clearly. And I cried like a baby for like an hour. But I've been, I can't believe I had all this. Start calling people up, Oh my God, I apologize. I couldn't see it before. I recognize it now. And, self-realization. Some of the deepest self-realization that you can ever get, you will not get from another person. Now, that person may be the conduit of it, but the karma in which will lead to that may be, it may be through prayer. It may be through meditation. If you're a fire spirit, it will be through adventuring, connecting to different energies and different environments and going to places of power. And it's a really, really beautiful way to practice. Once again, everybody gets their growth in many different ways, many different ways. But for me, it's that fire spirit aspect that I love, and going to these places of power and connecting and getting, huge amounts of growth and realization and understanding. And that's why we do this. And this is why we're doing the Mexico trip. So for anybody who's interested, we got one spot left. You can check out the link in the bio, because it's there. Also, I'm teaching a course. I've taught this course for a while now. We have a beautiful community. There's many people in here right now that's part of the community. And in this course, we're going through the entire steps of developing yourself in hermetics, in hermetic science and alchemy and psychic development, and how to train your intuition, your subconscious mind, and to understand that relationship so you can achieve whatever it is that you wish to achieve, and align yourself to it subconsciously so you can become a creator and live in your purpose, because that's what life is about. That's what we are here for. This is why, you'll follow some path, you'll have a job, you'll go into, some school, you'll have friends or relationships that won't bring you fulfillment because it's not in alignment with your true path. And it's always like there's something missing, right? Now, earlier when we talked about all the stuff that stuck to our minds, that stuck to our spirit, naturally being able to purify that, you begin to go into that trajectory of this is what is directly meant for my divine path, because you won't have anything else stuck to it that's not meant for you. And we have a lot of stuff stuck to us. Some of this stuff is from our environment. Some of it's from our parents, from our culture, from the collective consciousness of the city that we live in, from media, from all these different, belief structures and attachments and worldviews that we had no choice but to take on. So when we begin to purify that, the only thing that's left is the light of your own mind, your own divine purpose. And this is why knowledge of self is the greatest knowledge. Know thyself. Know thyself, and you will come to know the universe and the gods. And it's a literal thing. And in the course I teach is, well, how do you achieve this? What practices do I need to integrate into my everyday life? What right view should I have? Right. And it's a personal journey, because everything I teach is principle based. So you apply it to your own life. You just integrate it into what you already do, and you will see immense change very, very quickly. And there's levels to it. There's levels to it. So if you're interested, check out the link in the bio. It's the Master Key Psychic Ascension program right now. It's a huge discount. So check that out. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. Once again, thank everybody that's in here. If you haven't hit the follow button, please hit the follow button. If you're creeping on the other side of the live stream and you ain't tapped in because you don't want your name to pop up, feel free, come in, say hi. Don't be peeping through my window, but also don't come into my house and not announce yourself. So, say what's up in the comments. Let me know where you're from. Once again, my name is RJ. I teach hermetic alchemy, hermetic magic ascension practices, how to develop your spirit, how to see into different realms, how to activate your light bodies and past skills and awareness and tendencies, and even how to develop all the future skills, awareness, and tendencies that you will have and bring it all into the now. And it's beautiful. This is Hermetics, and this is what I do. So thank you guys for joining. And if you're interested in learning any of this, once again, check out the link in the bio. If you want to join me next week in Mexico, there's one spot left, and we always get most people want to sign up at the very last minute, and it is really interesting, but we still have one spot left. If you can make it, it's from January 15th to the 22nd. We're going to some of the most beautiful places in the world, most definitely some of the most beautiful, powerful places in Mexico. And all the information, the itinerary and everything is in that link as well. So I'm definitely interested, and I'm thinking about signing up. Awesome. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Looking at some of these comments. It says, how do you feel about AI? Am I supposed to feel anything about AI? So when it comes to the different realms of thought and once again, the information that we consume, the information that we receive and the way that we relate to that information. Now, you can think of this when we look at the concept of in Tai Chi and in Qigong. When you see people practicing Tai Chi and they're making these really slow, fluidic movements, it's because they're tuning their fascia, their body chemistry to what's called the Sea of Qi. We have all this energy, this astral energy around us. And literally when they're moving, they're tuning into that energy, and they're kind of like, when you're in a pool and you're trying to walk through the water, that's literally what they're doing. But they're doing it through the next couple layers of consciousness, right? When we're in the Sea of Qi, we have all this energy that's around us, and it sticks to us, right? Now, imagine some of that energy doesn't feel good. Some of the energy feels blissful. Some of that energy is amazing. Some of that energy is heavy. Some of that energy will enlighten you. Some of that energy will make you feel, kind of gloomy, right? And we have all these things that we're interacting with. But what dictates our reality and our outcomes and our karma is the meaning that we put on those things and all the energies that we try to cling on to and hold on to because they were, traumatic. And it affected our mind in some way. It affected our relationship to different things in some way. And we relate to that energy. We try to hold on to it. We literally take that energy when we hold on to it within our mind, within our astral emotional body, within our feelings, and then it gets stuck in our physical body. And it wants to continue on its way. Imagine every feeling is like a fish in the ocean. And instead of that fish, just want to swim and do its fish thing, you take that fish and you put it in a headlock. Right. So these are all the stuff that's attached to you. It's all the fish that you got in headlocks, and it just want to live its life and do its own fish thing. But you got it in a headlock. What do you think that fish is going to do? Do you think it's just going to calmly just sit there? Every now and then the fish might get tired and it might not struggle as much. You might, even forget that it's there because it's just, you're just chilling, but it's going to want to escape. It's going to want to get free. It's going to want to express itself in some way. But because you got in a headlock, it can't. This is exactly, the nature of energy. Right. And feelings and emotions when we're, receiving all this different input from the field around us. This is how it functions. And the more we hold on to things, once again, we can use the whole water element analogy. You imagine you're in a lake, you got all these fish in headlocks. The more you have, the more you're going to sink to the bottom. And the more they're going to fight you until you learn some way to let them go. Until you recognize, oh, I still have these, fish in the headlock. Oh, that's my depression fish, and this is my childhood, sweetheart fish, and this is my, my shattered relationship with my brother, fish. But that's kind of how it works, right? And we keep this stuck into our mind, into our body, into everything else. And, some people have a lot of it and they're stuck in those lower realms. The goal is to release, release, release. So, you're no longer having all these different, why did I even start with the fish thing? Cause now I'm like envisioning some people got like, you guys have seen like the school of fish where it's like one consciousness. This is literally like when it's kind of like you see the birds that are all swarming around and stuff and doing their thing. You see school of fish that do the same thing. When they do that, they literally become one consciousness. The same thing happens with the same analogy. There's some people that are walking around with that whole school of fish around them. And instead of recognizing that, oh, they've been holding on to all these different fish, they think they are the fish. They think they're this whole school of fish, which is acting as one consciousness. And they just in there. And they live their whole life like that, masquerading as I'm the school of fish. I'm not this being that is aware of all these things and experience each individual fish on its own and started to pick them out of the sea and put them in headlocks, right? No, you are the person in the middle, but you have held on to all these different energies and trauma fish so much that you continue to give them life, so much that it forms your personality, it forms your reality, it puts you into this singular type of consciousness of all these different traumas. And that's what most people express. Now, to grow spiritually, you have to learn how to release them. And, some people learn how to release them one by one. Some people learn how to release them in many different ways. My favorite way is through hermetic alchemy, through energy work, through being able to literally tune into each one, to be aware of it, to literally be able to demagnetize it, to move it out of your field of consciousness, to be able to change it from a lower state to a higher state, because not all of them are, bad. Some of them are just expressed in the wrong way. Because everything that's about us, right, is a certain aspect of our personality, our astral ego, that's seeking to express itself. And if you don't have a high level of concentration and awareness, it's going to express itself in its negative form, not in its positive form. So all the things that are seemingly, once again, negative to you, right, in your own personality, your mind, your concept of yourself and your self-identity, these are things that you can express that same exact energy in a positive way. It's kind of like, I'm from the hood, so I'm just going to tell y'all that. I'm from the west side of South Bend, Indiana. And, where I'm from, it's a lot of substance dealers. Now, these substance dealers, and you know what? Not even just them. Most people from the hood are geniuses. And I mean that. Like, it's not too many people that I've met from the hood. I'm talking about crackheads. There's very few people that I've met from the hood that aren't literal geniuses. Except physicians, like literal geniuses, right? And patience. I've never even seen this stuff anymore. Yeah. So anyway, what I mean to say is, my point is that, the substance dealers, the same skills that you need to be a, substance dealer on a high level are the same skills that you need in any business. Right? In any business, the same way to be a salesman, same way you got to, use commerce, get your product, keep it stocked up, those same exact skills, you can use it in a positive way and have much greater outcomes. But everything about us, all our stuff that's on the black mirror of our soul, and we'll talk about the black and white mirror, they're not negative things. They may be, they're just things, but we're just expressing them in a lower frequency way. So the more that we begin to understand, once again, all those fish that we're holding on to, and we start to recognize them, you can choose, okay, well, this is what it is. Let me change it and alchemize, express it in a higher way, or let me release it. Let me put it back in the ocean and let it do its thing, So in some cases, yeah, I get what you're saying. In all cases, in 100% of cases, I tell you right now, in 100% of cases, this is just how we function as a people, our own psychology. You know, you can look at, one of the things I'm dead set on is that nobody wakes up in the morning and say, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm just going to be an asshole. Everybody I see, I'm just going to be grouchy at, and I'm just going to make sure I ruin their day. Nobody wakes up like that. But they're expressing, it could be their lack of self-love, their lack of attention. They could be going through all types of stuff. But that's the expression that they're giving it. Right. But that same energy could be expressed in a much, more positive, amazing way. It's the same energy. They're just expressing it in its lower form. Everything about you, says Narcissist, my ex. Once again, the whole concept and idea of a narcissist, especially one that you may be in a relationship with, right? Birds of a feather flock together. And I mean this. There's very few people that I've seen in narcissistic relationships that both people weren't being narcissists, because both people will probably blame each other for their problems. One, that's the most narcissistic thing that you could ever do. Number two is you wouldn't resonate with each other if you guys didn't, have a lot of the same traits. And this is like a generalization, but still a pretty decent one, because, we're magnetic. We resonate with our people for a reason, especially the people that we're really close to, the people that we love. But people don't really look at it like that. And then in PC culture, sometimes you have to kind of coddle people to get them out of their situation. So then you can tell them, some of it's your fault too, right? But you can't tell that to people when they're in their trauma. You can't tell them that when they're in a low space. You can't. But, on the grand scheme of things, that's how it functions. That's literally how it functions. It's always a reciprocal thing. It's never just one person at all, ever, whatsoever. And not many people are going to tell you this. I'm like, no, right now, it's always reciprocal in some way, And once again, if you blame your partner for all of your issues, then guess what? I'm guarantee you that you're a big part of the problem too. And that's the most narcissistic thing that you could possibly do, Now, right back to personal viewpoint. Yeah, it's all our viewpoint. Once again, the energy that we receive, what is your relationship to it? Because that relationship to it can be anything. It's constantly changing, right? And it can literally be anything. There's no one set way to relate to anything. There's ways that will help you and liberate you, right? But once again, holding on to that way to a certain point could be a negative. Too much of anything is bad for you. I mean that. Too much of anything is bad for you. So to understand this, this is the law of polarity. This is the law of polarity. When you look at hermetics and the principles, right? The law of correspondence. It all corresponds to something else. And this is what I'm getting at when I say that when we express those lower things, it corresponds to a higher thing, a need for us to express something, and just express a part of who we are. But it's either we're going to express it down here or up there, So the way that you relate to the self, the way that you view your self-image and your actions and the things that you, once again, you receive and you're aware of, how do you relate to it? Because you can always relate to it in a way that is beneficial to you. Always. And this is any and everything in which you will ever receive and experience. And it's a choice. If your mind is grounded and you're aware of what's coming in, and you don't allow your emotions to kind of take control over what you're receiving, then it puts you in a place of power where you can pick and choose the outcomes. If your mind is weak and you experience a really strong emotion or a trauma or, even just in this really strong environment, then that energy, you're going to receive it and it's going to take over you. You can look at your habits and your addictions and, you have a really, deep coffee addiction. And when that addiction comes up to the surface, you don't think twice about, I'm about to go get me some coffee. And that energy will be there until you act upon it and give it life. And you go and get you some coffee. Now, is there free will in that? Is there? Right? We have all these different impulses and things that we receive, and this part of our field that, we may or may not have the choice to, change the story when it literally takes over us. You can think about, once again, when somebody yells at you, somebody comes yelling at you, that energy is really strong. They're really pissed off. That fire element is volatile. And then, somebody yell at you, what's the first thing people do that have weak minds? They start yelling back. They literally take that energy on and boom, they express that same energy. But the more that you can ground yourself and your mind, you can be mindful, you can be aware of what's coming in, you can release it. That energy won't be a part of your field. It won't create this story within your experience that is not meant for you. Yeah, you let them change your energy. Yeah, and it's a you thing. You allow it to happen 100%. So until you balance your ego, you can't see it. Exactly. And that's your astral body. And like I said, there's many ways to do it. There's many types of psychology that people, relate to when it comes to balancing your energy or purifying your chi. And this is the type of psychology I like to use because I do it directly through energy work. Like in the course that I go through and I teach, is we're doing it through different Qigong practices, through tree Qigong, through changing and alchemizing the frequency of the energy so you can begin to understand your astral body, your astral nature. You can feel it's a tangible thing, right? And once you start working with your astral chi, you begin to understand and see firsthand, oh, this is what's, remember we talked about the fish? These are all the fish in which I have formed my personality to be. And then you begin to see them and begin to alchemize them. Just naturally. Your intuition, once you can see it, you can't unsee it. And you begin to see it from different perspectives because your mind becomes greater. Your relationship to it begins to change just through working with your life force and energy. Because different levels of life force, different levels of energy, they run on different time continuums. They run on different laws, different truths, different perspectives. And when you begin to work with it, your perception begins to match that energy. So your relationship to time and space begins to change. The way that you view things begin to change. The way you relate to things begin to change. And you begin to see things outside of normal people's perceptive range. You begin to understand your own psychology. You begin to see, oh, this is why I'm holding on to this thing. Oh, that's why I'm expressing this. You begin to see it because it doesn't matter if anybody else sees it. If you don't recognize it and you have no way to change it, you have no way to, transcend it, to alchemize it, to release it if you don't see it. And for everything that I teach and I share, well, these are keys so you can do that in a very easy, direct way. And it's really, really beautiful, really, really beautiful. Looking at some of these comments, what camera are you using? It's immaculate definition. I am using my Sony cinema camera. Looking at some of these other ones. What do you mean you going to Mexico? So Mexico trip, we are going through some of the most powerful, amazing places of power in Mexico, some of the most beautiful places, starting in Mexico City. And we're going to Teotihuacan, we're going to Palenque, we're going to Veracruz, we're going to Puebla, which Puebla is like the #2 place in the world for like UFO sightings and really interesting things. We're going to Tepoztlan before the 15th for the Mexico trip. And Tepoztlan is super amazing, super beautiful. It's one of the magical towns in Mexico. Mexico literally has places. It's called magical towns. They're magical, Puebla Magical. It literally means magical towns. And in Tepoztlan, Elijah Muhammad came to Minister Farrakhan when he went to Tepoztlan, and Farrakhan climbed the mountain there, and this is this ancient temple on top of the mountain. And that same night, he had a vision, and Elijah Muhammad came to Minister Farrakhan in a spaceship on that mountain and told him, things about the government. He told him to go to Washington, D.C. and to tell um, to tell everybody about, the president is going to, do something to Gaddafi, and they're going to lie about this. They're going to do A, B, and C. And this is what happened when he was in Tepelstein. Like, he saw Elijah Muhammad come on this, on the spaceship, came down, told him all this information, and he did it. He didn't have a choice. Like, he did it. Like, this is what he experienced. And other people have seen, similar things, like not in visions and in real life. And he even said, I seen a ship there in real life outside of the vision that I had of, Elijah Muhammad coming to me and telling me this. And, a couple months later, he goes to DC and he has his press conference and he says everything that Elijah Muhammad told him to say. And every single thing that he said came true. Everything. And he received this message very, very loud and clear, and, before then, since then, this place is super duper powerful. There's always activity. I mean, always activity, super duper powerful. So we're going to go there. We're going to be filming too. We're filming a docuseries. So how much is it? If you use this promo code, boom, 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 for the double occupancy, if you use the promo code, I think it's like $2,400. It's $2,700 for single occupancy. We're going to be in all 4-star accommodations. We're in some beautiful, accommodations the entire time. We have our own translator, our own personal tour bus. All breakfast is included every day. You just got to pay for your flight there, and basically we take care of the rest. We're flying into Mexico City, and we're leaving from Villahermosa. And it's really, really powerful. So it's going to be me. We got a group of I think it's 11 other people, 10 other people. Book of Jonah is going to be with me too. Some of you guys might know Jonah, bald head, beard, Escape the Matrix, 0010110. So it'll be both of us. A lot of other, beautiful tribe members that's on the same level. We're going to tap into the energy. That is so cool. I've never seen that one before. That is so cool. Thank you for that. So we're tapping in, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So we got one spot left too. So if you want to get in, now's the time to do it, because this happens on the 15th. So if it resonates, it's for a reason for sure. Feel the call, check it out. For anybody that signs up, I'll even give you access to the course too. Or you can just sign up for the course as well. But that's available. For the course that I teach as well, I do weekly group Zoom meetings. So Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., we're going through the different practices, tap into your energy. This is how you can form a ball of chi. You can use your visualization to stream your mind into it, project your mind outside of your body, and learn how to expand your mind into the space around you and enter into different realms and, all that. All the alls. But ultimately, so you can gain mental, spiritual strength and raise your quality of life, And I'm joking about it in several ways, but it's a literal thing. And it's really, really powerful. There's tons of information in the link for that. The Mexico information is in there too. So yeah, because the way my bank account's set up, of course, as it is. and I get it. And once again, even this type of psychology, so hermetics, right? Hermetics is essentially esoteric psychology. It's understanding the mind and the mind's relationship to everything. And the first principle of hermetics is the principle of mentalism, meaning everything is mind. Now, if you begin to understand mind, substance, and everything is mind, well, you have a really good grasp on how everything functions. And it's a really, really powerful type of understanding. The first principle also means, that the universal mind, or God, right, in the Hermetic view, is the mind of the universe. It's the intelligence of all that is, of everything. Everything is mind. Everything has a spirit. There's nothing out there that isn't. Even how the Navajo, view it, when you talk about the Great Spirit, they're talking about the infinite mind. And I don't even like using the word God, because everybody has different, relationships to that word. There's been subconscious resentment and religious trauma and everything else attached to it. But Super beautiful. And this whole path and what I teach is, you go from your own personified reality and belief structures to a more universal, infinite truth and much higher quality of life, because you start to defabricate the boxes that we have built around us and belief structures. Remember, most of which we had no choice but to take on, most of which we took on as a defense mechanism and maybe is expressed in a lower sense. And when you begin to expand the mind and to develop the mind and gaining mental, spiritual strength and being more grounded in the Akasha, you start going through the spiritual hierarchy and life changes. Literally, you start going through different realms, the literal colors and the frequency and the bliss and the love and the subconscious synchronization to certain experiences begin to change. And you begin to have a much higher quality of life. This also applies financially. And to understand the spiritual nature of it, it's really, really beautiful, everybody, especially I often talk about the financial thing because it's something that most people have really negative, interesting relationships to. A lot of people live in poverty consciousness and they believe you got to work really, really hard. And if you don't work really hard, that you'll never get it, or that there's some external force trying to keep it away from you. And there's a system that's built against you and everything else. And that's only real to the people that accept it. It's not real, and it's a type of psychology. Poverty consciousness is just that. It's poverty consciousness. It does not make it real. So when you begin to understand the mind and the mind's relationship to different things, then you can cultivate, a much higher relationship and begin to develop a proper one where it always works in your favor. Now, one of the things about this too is, and for everybody, this is one thing we're going to talk about this in two different steps. Number one is the greatest thing that you can ever do to achieve everything that you seek to achieve is to surrender. And I mean, everybody feels that, oh, I have to obtain this thing. I have to gain something. I have to bring something in. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. The more things that you cling on to, the more it becomes a weight. The more you begin to build walls with things. Everything that you seek to achieve, you can only achieve it through releasing your resistance to it, to surrendering to what that thing is in order for you to realize it and to materialize it. This is very true of them fish. Yeah. And this is what this goes back to what I was saying. I love to speak in the term of energy because everything is energy. It's universal. Everything that I share is a universal knowledge. So understanding the principle of what's being presented through the teachings, through the meditations, through the practices, you can apply it in every way that you can possibly conceive. And this is why it's so many different layers to it. And this is why I say, yeah, there's levels to it, because your own perception and your current relationship to the teachings, to what's shared, it's going to change as you begin to change and grow and go through different experiences and to develop different relationships to what it is that you are receiving. And it's perfect. This infinite reality and infinite consciousness that the Creator has given us is perfect. Because you receive whatever you seek to achieve, that whatever you are a perfect vibrational match to. And it is just that, it is perfect. But it's up to you to transcend the things that you are a vibrational match to and to release and to surrender, right? Release your resistance to where you want to be so you can start moving into those higher layers and higher realities. And once again, it's not something you have to gain. It's always something that we have to release. And most people don't understand that. In the beginning of our journey is all, what can I gain? What can I study? What more can I bring on? How many more books can I have? How many more, and then that we go on that, and that's good until you get to the point where, oh, let me see the other end of the polarity. It says, yo, what kind of camera are you using? Your video quality is amazing. It is a Sony FX30. So yeah, but most don't realize that you have to rip out everything that made you. Yeah. And that's why I said, surrender. And to recognize the highest truths, the type of surrender that is necessary is a type of surrender that I have not seen really displayed in a lot of people. Not that this is something that people should put in public or, show off or anything like that. But in order for me to understand what I understand through direct experience, to have some of the most deepest, profound, magical, miraculous, literal experiences that I have had to completely surrender, a lot in my life. And the more that I do it, the more beautiful of an understanding, the more in alignment I am with my true God nature, my higher self, my God self, my Buddha self. And it's really beautiful, and it takes a really deep level of faith in the beginning. I don't like to really go into the realms of like blind faith, but it does take a little bit of that, because most of the universal teachings on the highest level, you have to have a type of faith in what you're doing in order for you to recognize it, because it has to hit a certain level. And then once you see it, then the faith goes from this like, okay, I know this is true in my spirit, to I know this to be true without a shadow of a doubt, and nothing can take this away from me. Thank you. And that's the type of faith that is necessary for you to reach the highest highs. That activates kind of the saintly path, because you have such a strong relationship to your own path, right? The God self, how God expresses itself through you, right? And that's the only relationship that matters, is the part of you that is a vibrational match to the universal mind, and expressing that despite what any circumstances you may experience, despite what other people project and believe and try to tell you should do, or the way you should behave, or how you should live your life. Or if you become one with the Creator, right? And the Buddhists call this nirvana. And there's many ways you can experience this. The Taoists call it, entering into the Tao. Right? There's so many different types of psychology and ways that people relate to it. But there's no greater relationship that you can develop. And the only way you can get there is through surrendering. The only way you can get there is through surrender and releasing your attachments. Shakyamuni Buddha, described nirvana as the release of attachments, aversions, and delusions. And it's a literal thing. So when I talk about the light of your mind, your spirit, right? The light of your mind is your spirit. Different magical traditions and Kabbalah, they talk about the monad, which is the mono light. Monad is the singular light that emanates from the Akasha. So it's the unified field of light. That is a match to the light of your mind. Right? So the essence of your mind, that unified field of light, is a vibrational match to God. And it is you in essence. That's the part of you that is one with the Creator. And developing that relationship and releasing everything that is in resistance to that allows you to take advantage of your divinity. And some of you, for everybody that's in here that really resonate with this, all of you, nobody's interested in this unless you've been a really high level being in the past. This is not the knowledge of people that need to be told you're going to go to hell if you don't change your ways. This is not the type of knowledge that, people that have to be in a hive mind or, be told what to do. This is the knowledge of really high level beings, of intelligent beings that have, taken on this knowledge and developed themselves in many incarnations. And my path of service is to share this so you can remember, and to activate your gifts so you can master your gifts and then build your life around it and start where you left off. This is the knowledge of beings that change the world. And there's many of us, in many different ways, in different traditions. Some people say star seeds. Some people say indigo children. This is even a higher level than that. This is the knowledge of the gods, of the rulers, of creation, of prophets. Yes, literally, and And everybody deserves to activate it because it's a part of everybody. 11:11 on the clock right now. I ain't seen the time this entire time I've been doing this. It's 11:11, you know? And when you finally take the steps to take advantage and to recognize your divinity, then you become a true creator. You become a creator of not just your reality, but an architect within the physical realm. And you create realities. And I know from firsthand experience, I've done this many times over my whole life, you know, before social media, during social media, you know, from as a child, as a teenager, like, you know, it's really, really powerful. And to the high level Kabbalists, you know, you get to this letter of remembrance and understanding that you begin to see and understand how, you know, you become the alpha tuning fork. You know, to the actual Kabbalists, you understand that, you know, you shape reality as a whole, not just your own personal reality. I mean, the whole of it too. And a matter of fact, it's what, 59, 60 of y'all in here right now. How many of you thought of something and not like, oh, I had this thought, it came to me and I seen, you know, this product 6 months later because somebody took it. That's a part of it too. But how many of you, you know, said, you know what, I'm going to have this. You know, I know this is going to happen. And then guess what? It happens. And I'm not though, oh, coincidentally. I mean, you know, without a shadow of doubt, this is what's going to happen. Boom, same day. Boom, a little bit later, it's there. Right? Because your mind, right? Your mind, which we're all one consciousness too, but if you are alpha tuning fork, you're higher up on the vibrational scale, the spiritual hierarchy. If your mind is up here, then everything below it has to align to wherever your mind goes. This is how the spiritual hierarchy works. If you're down here, you are ruled by everything that's above you. You are literally ruled by everything that's above you. This is where astrology comes into play. This is where the moon cycles come into play. This is where the collective consciousness and the aspirations and demons and succubi and stuff come into play. There's a hierarchy within that. And once again, the more you are released, boom, the higher you are, the more you gain an immunity from all the levels of consciousness that's below your current level within the spiritual hierarchy. And everything else, boom, has to align to your thoughts, feelings, and actions. The higher you're up, right? The more you understand the psychology and how creation works, how consciousness works, the more you're in union with the universal mind, with God. And this is why the Buddha said, once again, nirvana is the release of attachments, aversions, and delusions. The essence of who and what you are is a vibrational match to the universal mind, the vibrational match to God. And you can be in any realm. All of your beliefs, right? You are creating different realms and realities based off of your own belief structures. This is self-fulfilling prophecy. You create your own prophecies in every way. So everything that I teach and share is, well, how can you develop that? How can you understand that and master that in a very short amount of time? You know, relative to just doing it on your own and and not having the framework or the intellectual understanding of it. And how can you basically accelerate your progress? You know, so once again, you can take all the knowledge, wisdom, insight, understanding, tendencies that you've had in past lifetimes, all your past light bodies, and have it right here, right now. And then, okay, how can you take all your future knowledge, wisdom, insight, understanding, light, and frequencies that you want to embody and to give expression to, so you can develop your spirit and cultivate certain frequencies that you will have in every future lifetime, and bring it right here and right now. And this is what I teach. This is what I share. This is my path, is to reawaken that within you so you can take advantage of your divinity. And everybody deserves to know this. Not everybody's going to resonate with this because not everybody's on this level and have built the bridges of understanding and psychology to even understand it. But I put together this really beautiful course, really beautiful, community of high level beings, I got to address this. No such thing as learning in a short time. It takes lifetime to develop yourself into enlightenment. That's such a, interesting relationship to it. Because I've done it. I have students that's done it step by step. There is there's a science to it. There's many practices, but if you take on a belief and say it's going to take me X amount of time to do it, guess what? It's going to take you that long to do it. Wake up tomorrow and say it's going to take me all day to clean my house. Guess what? How long is it going to take you to clean your house? Set a timer and say, okay, in 20 minutes, I'm going to clean as much as I can. I bet you clean more in that 20 minutes than what you would have did in 2 hours if you said it's going to take me all day to clean my house. So, once again, there's levels to it. There's many stages to enlightenment. Enlightenment is a word. You can only relate words to, other words, and then your own personal relationship to what that word means. It's a limitation. It's an attachment. Even the concept and idea of enlightenment, when we talk about enlightenment, we can talk about the yogic version of enlightenment. We can talk about the Buddhist version and ideology when it comes to enlightenment. We'll break down the Buddhist aspect. Okay, forget just enlightenment, because that's just an aspiration to keep you to want to touch monad again so you can touch that light and then ground your mind in it. But we'll talk about, let's say, the concept of a bodhisattva, right? So there's this concept in Buddhism of a bodhisattva. Now, a bodhisattva is a divine being, not exactly the same as a Buddha, but it's a being that that vows to liberate every other being in all of creation in order to, liberate them before they enter into liberation and enlightenment themselves and enter into nirvana. Now, this right here, this concept, even though there's statues of different bodhisattvas, there's practices to connect to different bodhisattvas, whether it's Manjushri, whether it's Avalokiteshvara, whether it's, whoever, there's tons of them in Buddhism and all the different countries and schools and everything else. But this whole concept of what a bodhisattva is it real? Or is it a concept idea to get your mind to focus on a certain thing, to give you the impetus to act upon a certain thing, so you can experience and to relate to something that is infinite? Let me know. Same thing with enlightenment. What does it mean to you? For me, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna go there. But what I can say is I can show you some things. I can for sure show you some things, and it's beautiful. All it takes is willingness and a sidestep. Yeah, it's not as complicated as people make it out to be, because universal knowledge is simple, very simple. High level spiritual knowledge is very simple. And if anybody explains it to you in a way that seems very overly complicated, it just means that they do not understand it. There are books and libraries written about all types of different spiritual things and concepts and stuff that have no basis in reality whatsoever. The most spiritual knowledge is something that can't even be intellectualized. All the intellectual knowledge and understanding, and even some of the ancient scriptures and stuff, are things for you to relate to on a certain level. But the true teachings are a product of the spirit. How do you experience anything with your spirit? Through experience, not through the intellect, not through words. What does an orange taste like? Write that in a book. You can't give it to somebody. You literally cannot give that to somebody. You experience it. You can describe it with as many adjectives as you can possibly muster. You can go through a whole thesaurus. You can write whole descriptions about it. You can become a scholar of what an orange tastes like. That does not mean that you can give it to somebody or that you even truly understand it. And, the people that get so caught up in the intellect and concepts and things like that, these are usually philosophers. And we need these people. We need the academics, and we need those people because they're the ones that write the books. But they oftentimes become the most ignorant because they're so caught up in the intellect that they cannot allow themselves to allow their intuition and their spirit to show them what the intellect cannot see. And they become super rigid. And for me, I'm an academic too. I'm highly intelligent, and in school, 99 percentile, my whole school career. So I understand the intuition, and I also understand the intellect. And I also understand that, once again, to truly master your experience and to understand it, you have to mix the intuitive intellect. There has to be a balance. If you do it purely intuitively, you'll never have an understanding of what it is you're doing or experiencing. You just know you're experiencing it, and you'll never be able to give it to anybody. If you do it purely through intellect, then you're going to be missing the majority of what's going on there. But if you train your spirit and train your intuition, when you engage any intellectual concept, construct, idea, ancient text, spiritual teaching, then you combine the intellectual aspect and you allow your intuition to filter through it. I know so many people that have written books. I mean, like bestseller. Like, some of my best friends are highly spiritual influencers. I'm talking about them in movies, on Gaia, like I'm teaching the CIA, like literally, right? And everybody's at different levels and have different relationships and stuff. And even some of these people that you see on TV, some of them have a very limited understanding of it. They just, the way that they relate to it and that they can convey it to other people is something that they only understand in their own unique way. And subconsciously, the more it's on a universal nature, the more people that can receive that. But it doesn't mean that this is the ultimate truth. It does not mean that this is exactly what is. It just means that it's a bridge for people to raise up into higher levels of truth through their own understanding. And it's beautiful and it's perfect. It's 100% perfect in nature. But it's important to not get caught up on concepts and ideas, especially because if you, when it comes to spiritual development, right? When it comes to spiritual growth, you cannot predict outcomes. You can't, because if you try to predict something that is a product of the spirit, you're going to go in the wrong direction. You're going to be looking for something that you have no idea what it could possibly be like. You've never perceived it before. So if you're out here searching for something, you have it caught up in your mind that this is what it is, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then you go searching for something that's not real. So a big reason why I teach what I teach and share what I share, because you're training your intuition to a supernatural level, to literally the point in which you can tune your astral body, purify your mental body. You can literally release yourself of your physical body and allow your different levels of consciousness to show it to you. And when it comes to life force energy, this is what keeps you alive. Your physical body knows everything about it. Your astral body knows everything about it. Your mental body knows everything about it because it is it. The only thing that's keeping you from it, right, is the intellect, your own belief about it. Other than that, every other layer of consciousness, it knows it perfectly. This is why when you release yourself of your physical body, right, your astral body and everything else, you enter into the mind of God because it is everything. Nirvana is the release of attachments, aversions, and delusions. Same thing. But there's a state in which you can develop. And this is called Wuji, where you can release yourself, once again, of the physical and astral body, even of your mental body. You can step to the side and boom, you can allow your spirit to do its thing and to show you, literally. And this is, I teach steps, tons of steps. This is how you develop it. So when you begin to cultivate certain energies, you can place your mind anywhere in all of creation, any frequency, any level of consciousness, raise up and down the vibrational scale. You can, reprogram your DNA. You can purify your astral body, and you can tune into the light of the creator, right? All these different things. And it's one of the highest teachings in meditation, period. So what's that called again? It's called Wuji. Akasha, entering into Akashic trance. And that's just a part of it. But it's a way that you have to get there too. You have to understand the nature of your mind. You have to understand the three bodies. You have to be able to identify your mental body, astral body, physical body. You have to be able to ground yourself in each level individually, and then to synchronize and to align them together. And to understand the difference of them, to see your, upper Dantian, middle Dantian, lower Dantian, and to develop, power within all of them. And there's this progression that happens, and there's different levels to it. So as you begin to do this, and develop this, you begin to literally go up the vibrational scale. And your perceptions change, your realities change. But remember that everything is true. Everything is true. But what's true on this level is not true on this level, right? As your mind becomes more free and more released from all the lower energies and all the lower projections and belief structures and organizations that tell you feel this way, think this way, do this, aspire to do this. This is what's true and this is what reality is. You begin to literally go up this way, do this, aspire to do this. This is what's true and this is what reality is. You begin to literally, as you do this, once again, you have to go through this progression, because as you're going through the progression, you can't go from here to here without having certain levels of understanding. Because once again, this truth is different than this truth. You have to experience the stuff on this level to understand the stuff on this level. And it's really beautiful and it's really perfect. In essence, all things are true. But what's true down here, not true up there. And everything I teach is, well, this is how you get there. And then you have a community to work with. I know the path very, very well. That's why I teach it. I've been teaching it for years. I've had 1,000+ students. It's absolutely beautiful. It's life-changing. And everything that I teach and everything that I share is so you can take this knowledge, this information, this awareness, and take it far beyond where I would ever take it. Everybody, I expect for every single one of my students to do it much better than me. And I'm pretty damn good at it because I've been doing it for lifetimes. and it's beautiful, If you're interested, check out the link in the bio. All the information is there. If you want to learn, in person, I do in-person workshops and retreats and tours. We'll be in Sedona in May. We'll be in Sri Lanka in the end of April, beginning of May. We're going to be in Mexico next week. And it's really, really beautiful. If you join the course too, you get all types of benefits. I do weekly group Zoom meetings on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We have an app, the Wix Spaces app, and I have video libraries. Level 1 is mastering the elements. So mastering your relationship to air, fire, water, and earth, and understanding how each one of these elements manifests through your own instinctual nature. It's part of what makes you you. It's part of your own survival mechanisms. And these energies express themselves in everybody. And this is why I say it's esoteric psychology. You begin to understand your own psychology, right? And then you begin to understand the psychology of other people, and then the psychology of creation. But it starts with the self first. From level 1, mastering the elements. Thank you for the gifts. From mastering the elements, we're going directly into psychic development. So how do you directly train your clairvoyance, clairaudience, your clairsentience, right? Your mental transference, your ability to expand your mind, to develop mental spiritual strength. And it's a direct pathway. The higher levels, which are beyond the master key system, is level 3 is magical invocation. Level 4 is the true Kabbalah, the mystical Kabbalah. And how do you learn the language of creation? And these are vastly different things. But in order to fully take advantage and to understand the higher aspect, you have to do the lower aspect. You cannot develop yourself in higher spiritual knowledge if you have not developed equanimity. It's not possible. There's plenty of traditions that are out there, and I mean many of them. There's traditions and religions out there that have millions, if not billions of followers that all fail. They're all stuck in some, lower dualistic hell realm and stuck to these concepts and ideas because they haven't learned how to develop equanimity. There's no precepts in it. There's no way for them to completely release themselves of the confines of that belief structure, that state of mind. And then they literally end up in those hell realms. Any realm of duality is a hell realm. Every realm of duality is a hell realm. 100% of them. Even if you look at Buddhist cosmology, we have the lower hell realms, the realm of hungry ghosts, the realm of the animals, right? The human realms. We have the realms of the gods and the demigods, and even the realms of the gods and demigods are also hell realms. They're realms of suffering, 100% of them. So the only way that you can transcend this is you have to go through the layers, understand them, develop equanimity. And this allows you to, one, go up and down the scale so you can understand it, but also to enter into those non-dual spaces where all the light is not sticking to you. You're literally more one with the creator, and that's where you want to be. You want to be able to see the higher aspects of things. Since everything teaches you something. Yeah, but you don't need to know everything. There's tons of stuff that we can experience that it's useless. You can extract value out of it, but it doesn't mean that it actually helps you. You could have wasted your time. We take on stuff from everybody and everything. Just because, your cousin might be a junkie and then finally got rid of his addiction. Oh, I learned so much from that. Well, you wasted 10 years of your life. Yes, you're going to learn something from everything, but there's a way that can limit you, right? Or the way that they can liberate you. Remember that everything evolves. You can never not evolve. Everything in all of creation evolves. Everything. There's nothing out there in all time and space that's not evolving. Even the universal laws. Even if you look at your body, your own body chemistry, the cells in your body, the bacteria on your skin, you cannot stop evolving. You may be evolving at the same rate as your environment, but you are still evolving. Now, everything that I teach is, well, how do you accelerate that evolution? Because you can do it. And it's a lawfulness to it, And once again, you put yourself in a box and say, oh, this is just what it is. Cool. And everybody's path is different. So everything that I teach and share, it's principle based. So you take the principle, you begin to understand the principle. And because this is universal knowledge, you can apply it universally because that's how universal knowledge works. You can apply it on every level, but it means something different on every single level. And the lower levels are filled with delusion. They're going to tell you, this is evil, put the blocks on, do this, keep yourself in a box. And, and it's a very limited space. But there are very strong energies in there that will keep you in those spaces. Anybody that tries to debate you, right? Anybody that's like, you see people all the time, especially when it comes to spiritual knowledge and religious knowledge. We've all seen people that they debate. They'll have spiritual debates and argue about this and that. And these are usually the most ignorant people when it comes to these things, but they're so caught up in those sticky energies that they can't do anything but want to, go into conflict with it because they're realms of duality. They're delusional realms where they cannot see, the higher levels of it, and it's really, really beautiful. So I've never seen your page. I don't pray. I just pray for protection over my phone. And there you are. I'm a very, 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 strong proponent for prayer, and that's very, very beautiful. You should check out the prayers on my page too. I think I have one pinned. And I think that it will greatly benefit everybody who listens to it. When it comes to prayer, I'm more than happy to switch the subject. Before I get into this and then the talk on prayer, once again, thank y'all for joining me. Shout out to everybody in here. If this is your first time in here, let me know in the comments. If y'all have any questions whatsoever, put it in the comments. Let me know where you're from. To reintroduce myself, my name is RJ. I teach Hermetic alchemy, Hermetic magic, ascension practices, self-mastery practices, psychic development, how to train, yourself to see through different realms, enter into different spaces, to, mentally transfer your mind into any frequency in all of creation, to, become one with the creator and to develop your intuition, because that's the highest knowledge you can, possibly learn. And it's very beautiful. And this is why I'm here, So thank you. If you haven't hit the follow button, hit the follow button. Now, when it comes to developing, yourself, one of the most powerful things that you could possibly do is pray. Now, when it comes to this, a lot of people have a lot of religious trauma attached to prayer. And most of it's because in the collective, prayer is taught as a devotional act and not truly for what it is. Prayer is your quickest doorway into equanimity. When we look at it metaphysically, when you place your hands into, the prayer mudra, The moment you do this, there's this type of humility that comes in with the, body mechanics of being like that, right? You're humbling yourself to something greater than you, going into equanimity. From there, you're going into, a level of sacredness, stillness. When you enter into prayer and everything becomes still, everything becomes still. Even the bacteria on your skin is like, shh, we're praying, be quiet. Then you go into a sense of reverence, right? And you're revering something, once again, that's greater than yourself. And you begin to demagnetize the belief structures. You begin to, release and bring stillness into all the stickiness. And then from there, you have a really, really, deep level of access to your astral unconscious and to the superconscious mind. You're much closer to the essence of your spirit, which dictates how your whole reality functions. And when you put the commands or the requests from that level of stillness and equanimity, well, there's nothing in you that can resist that. So your mental body gets in line, your astral body, your astral subconscious, your physical body chemistry takes on that light and energy, and it begins to manifest through your thoughts and feelings and actions on the subconscious level. That's the metaphysics of prayer. If you want to get the most, immediate benefit of prayer, let's say most people pray for money and like material things and things like that. Well, I guarantee you, enter into the deepest state of prayer you could possibly muster and pray for the awareness, the skill, the alignment, right? The personality, right? Mentally, emotionally, for you to be somebody who could be a great steward of being $1 million. I bet you your life will change immediately. You'll start looking at different content. You'll start seeing different things popping up on your phone. You'll start meeting people that's in those realms, right? Just naturally, because you're telling within you, you're not trying to impose your will and consciousness on something external. You're going to start building those bridges so you can actually bring that in. And it's powerful, super powerful. And there's levels to it. Wherever you're at in the vibrational scale, remember, the higher you are, the more of an influence you have on the collective. Because we're all one consciousness. But if you're down here in the vibrational scale in the spiritual hierarchy, you ain't got no type of way. Everything above you controls you. You go up and higher, you're higher in consciousness, and everything below you has to act in accordance. Because it becomes you're higher in consciousness, and everything below you has to act in accordance. Because it becomes the level of equanimity that you can achieve through prayer, going really deep into prayer. If you were to achieve this through meditation, it would take you about 15 years of hardcore meditation to achieve what you can achieve simply by just entering into prayer. So take notes, and it's one of your most powerful tools that you have. Now, once again, some people have a strong resistance to prayer. Okay, well, go meditate. Go stare at the tree. Go do your qigong and then be out in the woods for the next decade. Or you can enter into prayer and you can start, boom, with a decade worth of equanimity right here and right now. And then enter that into your practice and start from there. Once again, there's levels to it. There's many practices. There's many different ideologies. There's many different ways to relate to different things. And there's some things that will get you there very quickly. Some things will get you there very slowly. Some things are purely cultural, especially when it comes to spiritual knowledge and traditions. Some things are literally just tradition. It does not mean that it's real. It does not mean that it's even going to help you. It's just traditionally, this is what we've always done. So a big part of what I teach is, well, how do you see the universal truth of things? Creators, people that change the world, people that have a huge influence on the collective are not people that follow tradition. They're not part of the hive mind. They're not people that, yes, ma'am, no, man, mystics. Every religious system on the face of this planet was created by a mystic who was a rebel, who oftentimes was in the middle of the woods, but it is all types of stuff that come along with it. Are you going to be a follower or are you going to be a leader? For me, I'm not a follower. I don't teach followers. I teach masters. I am a master teacher. I teach masters. I teach you to master yourself. And this is where we're at. And this is the psychology of that. So it's beautiful, and I thank y'all for rocking with me. Looking at some of these comments, I didn't, kind of neglected y'all. A lot. It says, how do you stop overthinking that is blocking your what is blocking your happiness? You have to develop the skill. You have to develop that habit. People are oftentimes stuck in, realms of worry and anxiety and depression, but most of it is because they're so used to their mind operating on that frequency. That's just how they view things. They're in that realm. So slowly but surely, simply by taking the conscious effort and step to step outside of that habit, you can begin to start developing greater habits. Prayer is a really good way to activate that. Affirmations are a really good way to begin to change your outlook and to change the frequency of your mind through direct experience. And the best way to activate through affirmations is to listen to it as you're going to sleep. Because when the mental and astral matrix begins to demagnetize when you go to sleep, and your brainwave state starts going into that theta and delta range, your subconscious is wide open, and you will soak in those affirmations on a really deep subconscious level. And you may not see it bubble up, immediately, but do it for, a month, 2 months, 3 months. I guarantee you, your psychology and your understanding and synchronicity of how things begin to manifest in your life will change drastically. So it's a really good way. What a bribe. First time here. Love it. Thanks from Illinois. Midwest in the house. I'm from Indiana. So I've been blessed, encouraged, never in the middle. Because of that, I have trust issues with God. Most of the time, all the time, what we experience is the self. If you're experiencing negative things in your experience, the only place to look is within the self. And I mean this, and this is one of the, highest teachings. It's one of the beginning teachings, but also the highest teaching is knowledge of self. What part of you is creating this conflict? We have a lot of subconscious beliefs. We have a lot of attachments. We have all these different things that create suffering and conflict within our experience. But it's usually never anything outside of ourselves. It's never anything outside of ourselves. If you're in a relationship with somebody and that person does not appreciate you and disrespects you or even abuses you, right? Now, what's your part in it? Are you going to just stay in it? Are you going to blame that on somebody else that I'm staying in it, right? That you don't have the boundaries, right? Or is it something external to you that's causing that, right? So we often give our power away. So we can give our power away to the concept and idea of somebody's hexing me or cursing me. But, ultimately, are you allowing these things to enter into your consciousness and awareness, right? It all starts with the self. So putting that out there. So there's a question and how the journal says, yes, I have to learn to love and respect myself for sure. For sure. Looking at some of these other comments. Hello, friend. You're going to Mexico this time? That's so exciting. I am. I'm going to go to Mexico. I'll be there for a couple weeks. It's really beautiful. Going through Mexico City, Puebla, Veracruz, through Chiapas. Chiapas is so beautiful. We're also going to be exploring the Yucatan. So we're going to stop through Cancun. I don't really care too much to go through Cancun because most people go to the resorts and everything else. But we're going to explore a lot of the cenotes, a lot of the magical villages. We're taking a train through some of it. We're going to rent a car and just explore. It's going to be really, really beautiful. For anybody that's interested, there's still one spot left, so you can check out the link in the bio for that. If this information really resonates with you, you want to practice and, go through the different realizations and understanding and develop yourself and your own skills and abilities and activate your inner light to give it its highest expression. Check out the link in the bio. I teach an amazing, beautiful course called the Master Key Psychic Ascension Program, and it's universal. You apply it to whatever your path is. And it's really, really amazing. I've had 1,000+ students from all over the world, all different walks of life. And we have a beautiful community. You can join the Discord. Right now, there's a huge discount on it too. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can drop them in the chat. I'm about to take my butt to sleep. It's almost midnight. I think I got about 3 hours of sleep last night. But, if you haven't hit the follow button, hit the follow button. Shout out to everybody that's in here. And I really, really do appreciate it. One thing that I want to leave you with is, for everybody, wherever you're at in your journey, the most important thing for you to focus on and pay attention to is yourself, your own self-image, and to know that it's up to you to love yourself first and foremost, more than anything or anybody. Haven't said this in a while. You must love yourself more than anything or anybody in the world, more than your spouse, more than your parents, more than your children. You must love you more than anything or anyone else in this world, right? So you can share that with them. Because if you put anybody else above yourself, then you're going to do yourself a disservice. All right, there we go. And I know we lost sound, but this is why I'm signing off too. Besides the fact that we've been on this for almost 2 hours. um, but once again, love yourself first and foremost, so you can share that with the people who you truly do love, because you can't give something that you do not have. So it's very, very important. So know yourself, trust your intuition, trust your inner guidance. That is your inner light. It is your divine self. Remember, intuition means to learn from within and above. It is your connection to your divinity. So the more that you can follow that and understand that, the more that you're in alignment with your divine path. And this is why this is aligned to your highest. Because everything I teach is, well, how do you activate that to the highest degree, to a supernatural level? And it's really, really beautiful. So once again, thank you guys for joining me. If you're interested in joining the course, which you should, because it's a really magical, beautiful, life-changing process, check out the link in the bio. If you want that last slot in Mexico, this is like the last time you can really sign up. And that's in the link in the bio as well. If you have any questions, you can message me on here. If you haven't hit the follow button, hit the follow button. Other than that, I hope you all have a very, very, very blessed and beautiful rest of your evening or morning, wherever you're at in the world. And I'll see you guys all later. Okay. Peace.